Hi, this is Jackie, back with video number 6 in my series on New Age Christianity. I hope you're enjoying these videos, and if you have any comments, questions, or anything, please put them on my Facebook page or send me a private message in Facebook Messenger. And if you have any topics related to New Age Christianity that you'd like to see me address in the future, please let me know. And again, just a reminder that the transcripts for all these videos can be found on my blog at jacquelinejoan.com. Today, I'd like to talk a little bit about the difference between religion and spirituality. Now, you may have heard a lot of people anymore that say they are spiritual but not religious. And there's definitely a distinction between the two. And it's an important distinction when we're talking about New Age Christianity, because for me anyway, New Age Christianity is not so much a religion as it is a spiritual path. Now, the whole thing about spiritual, not religious, seems to me to be kind of a new thing, or at least it wasn't around when I was growing up in the 50s. In those days, you were either religious or not religious, and nobody taught much about spirituality. And religion was, at least where I grew up, was pretty much Christian. There weren't any Jews, Muslims, Buddhists, pagans, Hindus around. So when somebody said, "What religion are you?" the response was probably going to be Methodist or Presbyterian or Lutheran or Catholic, but all within that realm of Christianity. And spirituality really wasn't discussed much. So we'll talk in a little while about why more people may be identifying as spiritual, not religious. But first of all, let's kind of draw the distinction between the two. There's a couple things that I think really separate out religion and spirituality. For one thing, religion tends to be very dogmatic. It has a certain core set of beliefs that you are expected to subscribe to if you're going to be a member of that religion. If you're going to be a Christian, for example, there's certain creeds that you have to believe. Otherwise, you aren't considered a Christian. These core beliefs are usually found in some sacred text somewhere, like the Bible and Christianity. And believers in religions are usually not encouraged to go very far outside of these core beliefs. Individual spiritual exploration, that's generally discouraged. And in fact, to the point that if you go too far out of the core beliefs, you might even find yourself being considered not a part of that religion or being asked to leave that church or whatever. Spirituality, on the other hand, is much more about this individual spiritual exploration. In fact, that's the basis of it, rather than any written set of rules or beliefs. So, just like the name implies, spirituality is more about getting in tune with your own spirit and connecting to the divine spirit within you, who will lead you in discerning your own spiritual path. So, while in religion, people tend to follow the same rules and the same dogma if they're within the same church or religious group, in spirituality, your path may be completely different from everyone else's. Along these same lines, religion, and I'm going to talk mostly about Christianity here because that's what I am as a Christian, so I know that religion best. But I think that what I'm saying applies to pretty much all religions across the board. Religions usually have some sort of priest or clergy caste who kind of act as go-betweens between members of that religion and God. And they may have special powers which are given to them by the church. For instance, in my church, only priests can celebrate the sacrament and pronounce forgiveness of sins and things like that. So there's this very definite role for somebody between the person and God. With spirituality, there are definitely spiritual teachers, spiritual guides out there, but rather than really being a kind of a liaison between people and God, they're rather just there to kind of empower people to seek their own path, to impart knowledge and guidance to them. And they may, help you with some spiritual practices, for example, that you can use as you walk your own spiritual path. Some like meditation, centering prayer, astrology, numerology, crystals, psychic readings. There's all kinds of different things there that people will use as tools as they progress on their spiritual path. And there are plenty of people there who will help them with that. But it's kind of a different thing because they aren't really seen as essential, I guess. In a lot of religions, the clergy are essential. They are, how you interact with God. They have God's message for you. They administer the sacraments on behalf of God. With spirituality, the teachers and the guides, they don't really have that role. They're just there to call on if you need them. And if you don't need them and you're progressing fine in your path and your spiritual practices, that's okay. But if you do need them, they're there. So they don't have that kind of essential role that they do in religion. Now, the Orthodox Christian religion puts a lot of emphasis on the fallen state of humanity, original sin, man's complete helplessness when it comes to salvation. So the view of people is that humans are inherently sinful. They're born in sin, the whole original sin thing. From the minute you pop out of the womb, you are a sinner. And you have to be rescued by God through the sacrifice of Christ. So Christ is basically the sacrificial lamb. And there is a definite distinction there between Jesus and everyone else. Jesus, by virtue of his virgin birth, is seen to have avoided the whole original sin thing and been born without sin. Now, that's kind of a pessimistic view of humanity, there's that great old hymn about Jesus devoting his life for such a worm as I. It's kind of a pretty negative view of humans. In New Age Christianity, on the other hand, Christ is an example who came to show us our potential as humans, to show what all of us can do and what all of us can be. So it's kind of a more positive, hopeful view of Christianity. And it's linked with spirituality because humans in Orthodox belief are kind of seen as just mortals and, like I said, in need of rescue. With New Age, or the more spiritual viewpoint, humans are seen as spiritual beings who can become one with God, not through following rules, not through attending church, but by sacrificially serving others as Jesus did. Spiritual leaders often talk about achieving Christ consciousness, which is seen to be a frequency of unconditional love that Jesus totally embodied when he was on earth, but one that is achievable by all of us. And that's kind of the message that Jesus came to bring us. Another hallmark of religion is exclusiveness. Most religions proclaim that they are the only true religion, the only way to God and salvation. Spirituality, on the other hand, has many paths. In fact, as many as there are spiritual seekers. So they are so individual, the pathways, that there shouldn't be any room in spirituality to sit in judgment on anyone else. Although it happens sometimes. You get people that believe they're more spiritual than the next person, but that really shouldn't happen because everybody is on their own individual path. So the question arises, why do we suddenly find so many people who claim to be spiritual but not religious? Where did that come from? Well, I think one reason is that many people have been very deeply wounded by religion. Just in general, they've been made to feel worthless, unworthy, and that's pretty much everybody. Then, when you look at specific groups that have been attacked, demeaned, denigrated because of gender, race, sexual orientation, all the LGBTQ people who forever have been told that they're evil and sinful and they're going to go to hell just because of the way they were born. Women have had a really dismal role in a lot of traditional religions. I know the religion I grew up in, pretty much the only role women had would be Sunday school teachers under a male Sunday school superintendent, or fix the church lunches and clean up afterwards. And I remember really distinctly the women being downstairs cleaning up after lunch while the men all went off to the voters' meeting that women weren't allowed in. It wasn't just that they couldn't be ordained. They couldn't vote. They couldn't hold office. They couldn't do anything, basically. So, and then, of course, there's been racism in the church. There's been children being, sexually abused by clergy. All of this physical, sexual, emotional abuse happening in the name of religion. People have seen religious people say one thing and do another. So it's not surprising to me that a lot of people are not identifying with religion, but yet they still feel a need to be connected somehow with the divine. And since they aren't finding that happening in religion, they're turning to spirituality. But I think there's also another reason that's connected with New Age Christianity. We are now in the Aquarian Age, which is identified in the Aquarian Gospel as the home age of the Holy Spirit. And the Aquarian Gospel talks about how the Holy Spirit, or the Holy Breath, as she's called in that book, in the Aquarian Age, will fill the world with holy breath. So that's where we are now. And as some of this spiritual energy from the Holy Spirit is flooding the earth, it's going to lead more people to seek a spiritual path. So religion, as we have known it, may be on the way out, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. So what I want to do next time is talk a little more specifically about why that may not be a bad thing, and about what to expect in this age, the age of God the Mother, the age of the Holy Spirit. So again, we'll be talking a little more about where religion and spirituality are both headed. So that's it for tonight, and I hope to see you all next time. Thanks for watching.